It's time for another power-packed episode of Headspace with Dr. Mike. Each week, Dr. Mike is committed to addressing real-life, sometimes polarizing and controversial issues while offering practical and informed insight. Listen in as we discuss hot topics that matter to us and the communities we live in.
What's up, party people? It is Headspace with Dr. Mike time. Woohoo! Welcome everybody to Headspace with Dr. Mike. Here we are on our Saturday recording day, episode 2, season 2, the double twos. We are excited. Definitely want to give a shout out to our live audience as well as those who are tuning in via our podcast. We love having you as listeners, and we do not take it for granted that you all have decided to spend some time with us. So we are excited. Definitely want to give a shout out to Elevation Global Media. And, they are our partners and they take very good care of us. And so we love y'all. And who do we have in the studio today? What's up, Kevin out of Denver? Who we got in the studio today? What's up, Chris?
What's up, everybody? Top of the morning, top of the almost afternoon.
It's still morning somewhere in the world, right?
That's right.
And then we have the beautiful Crystal out of KC. What's up, girl?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Good to see you. And then, of course, we have the queen of Headspace with Dr. Mike. We have Christy Baldwin. What's up, Christy?
Good morning, fam. So glad to be with you today.
And
Mason. Mason's here too.
I'm here to say our intern Mason.
Yes,
is there.
working hard.
And I'll tell you what, we have our pre-checks before the show, and he was letting us know his thoughts on the subjects that we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, he has a lot of opinions, like his mother.
I'm just saying. So yeah, we got all that. And then of course we have our producer for the day, Crystal. Thank you so much for all that you do. Y'all, let's dive in. We got, y'all, there's a lot going on, y'all. Lots going on. So first of all, y'all, we may be going to war.
Oh, we're going to start heavy, huh? So we're going to start heavy and work our way up the light.
Listen, I don't know.
Said dive in.
I don't know how much more we're on the headline says we are on the brink of war. What?
Can somebody explain to me, excuse my ignorance to begin with, but can somebody explain to me why we care about what is going on in Ukraine so much?
Well,
or is that the war you talking about, Mike? Let me make sure I'm on.
That's the war. There's a lot of wars going on, but yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
What is the American interest in this in Ukraine? Why do we care so much?
Well, I think first of all, Ukraine is an ally, right? Aren't they they're like our alliance? And then also, I think the issue of Russia, I think anytime Russia decides to flex its little muscles, well, big muscles, because they
right, they got some big guns.
Anytime they try to flex their muscles, I think that's the issue.
Okay?
So I'm sure there's pieces of that. I mean, it's just we can't let Putin be a bully. So I think that's the bigger issue. And then also, I mean, we have interests over there. Like we have Americans, lots of Americans in the Ukraine. So you always got to be careful.
No, I understand. We have Americans everywhere. I meant, was it a resource thing other than them being our allies? Because, I mean, I don't know, man. We just got out of a war. Or not got out of it, but we just pulled, I don't know how many thousands of troops out of a war so that we can go put them on the borders of Ukraine. All right, I'm done. That's my soapbox moment.
It's like Mike said. I feel it's like, no, we're the bigger bullies. You want to be a bully? We'll show you how to be a bully. That's all it basically.
How can we bully somebody that is over there pushing buttons and shutting down the things that we do over here? We can try to be the bully, but if they decide to cyber attack us again, then I mean, haven't we been shown to not be as big and as bad as we thought we were?
Well, that
is time and time again, but we still think.
What you gonna say, Christy?
No, I just said facts.
It's wild.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
God has not given us a spirit of fear. But I'll say it's concerning. It's very, very concerning. We just continually find ourselves in these positions, and having allies is important, not just for the sake of those who are our allies, but that we're allies for, but the people that, we need allies as well around the world. It's especially considering, like Chris said, that we're vulnerable in so many ways. And I think that if the United States would have done in the past a better job of concentrating on correcting things here, then we would not be as vulnerable in many ways. I think that's a direct connection. We're going to, it might not be a direct link, but indirectly, America's first original bloodiest sin of slavery, it connects to everything. And we're going to get what we put out there. It's the law of reciprocity.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. That it does go into another piece of the pie is what is it that what we talked about last week. What are you sowing, right? You keep sowing these seeds of discord. Eventually, it's going to reap a harvest of discord, right? So I think that there is something to that. One thing I think that is very fascinating, and people like to talk about we're in the end times and that sort of thing. From a biblical perspective, a lot of people know that America is not named in the Bible, right? America is just really not named, but China and Russia are. I believe it's Gog and Magog or some sort. And so one of the things that you just see is seeing this happen. I'm sure to some degree there's a part of like, oh wow, is this the beginning of the end, right? Russia, showing their dominance that will show forth. And what does that look like for America? Does that mean that America is not going to be here during the end times? I don't know about that. Although, I had listened to somebody, one of the things that we would, in our conversation, we were talking about how in a couple of years, America may be in its own civil war. And we could actually implode ourselves, with just how things are going with the elections and all that other stuff. So first of all, because I don't want to be flagged, I don't want anyone thinking that we're fear mongering anybody. We really are just trying to have a conversation to understand what's really happening. But number two, these are all just opinions. Like I don't have a crystal ball and know exactly how things are going to play out in the future. But the Book of Revelation does talk about what the end times looks like. And when you look at the geographical names of the countries and stuff, none of it equals out to be United States of America. I'm just saying, regionally and demographically and that sort of thing. So I think more than anything, listeners, it's important for us to kind of pay attention. Just pay attention to what's happening in the news. This is something that, Russia always, flaunts their little muscle. I say little muscles, but they're big muscles. They kind of do that. I think that that's a part of the game. One of the things about Putin is that he's a former KGB officer. And so he was all about the Soviet Union. So you got that, right? Mm-hmm. So I say let's just watch it and see what happened and just really pray for all involved, because this is pretty scary. It was first thought that they weren't going to do anything until after the Olympics were over. But now a bulletin has just come out advising Americans to leave within the next 48 hours. So that's pretty scary. I don't care where you're sitting at. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're dealing with nuclear powers and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Anyway, nonetheless, what else is happening in the news, y'all? We had a situation in Chicago. What's happening in Chicago? Everything happens in Chicago.
Like what's not happening in Chicago? It's going down in the shop.
There was a woman who, what was it, Christy? You're shaking your head.
African-American woman who in February 2019, actually, this is the third year anniversary. Mm-hmm. She was in her home. Mm-hmm. She had just gotten home from work. She was changing her clothes from her work clothes to something comfortable, and the Chicago police busted through her home. They got a tip from an informant. The informant gave them the wrong tip, and they came in her home. She was not dressed. She was nude. Yeah, Mason, she was. She was nude, and they handcuffed her and left her nude for more than 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she sued. She was what she wanted was for the officers to be fired. What she got was $2.9 million. Not saying that that's a bad look, but that's not what her definition of justice was. And can you imagine being in your home and being that vulnerable? And she said the biggest thing for her was, other than obviously feeling like she could have died in that moment, because that's just how the world is these days. They shoot first, ask questions later. But also that she was literally saying, can I please put my clothes on? Can you please cover me? And they were ignoring her. She just felt invisible. So isn't that how Black women feel many, many times in this world that we live in?
Wow.
I'll just leave that there.
Wow. Her name was Anjanette Young. And they were the police. What do you say? They were responding to a something, and they were in the wrong house. Oh, yeah, and they had a bad tip. Oh,
the person they were
serving
was
a
in
warrant.
the apartment over. Yeah, they were serving a warrant for a person that was in the apartment next door.
And so I'm reading this. They said that the person they were looking for had an ankle bracelet, like had a monitoring.
Yes, it just gets worse.
Did we not pay attention at the briefing? Like what reports were we looking at?
You could just check your phone with the GPS on and be like, oh, one more over. Take you 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
She said, I live alone. She said, you gotta watch the footage of it. She said, I live alone, like no one's here. She had just gotten in from work, was changing her clothes. Oh.
And it's not like it's a huge apartment, Like if you live alone, you have a 1-bedroom apartment. How much do you have to search for 45 minutes? It takes you that long to go through a whole entire apartment?
I don't know. Well, I'm praying for that situation. I'm praying for. All this talk about defunding the police, refunding the police, all this other stuff. I think people have missed the point of what the purists are trying to say, right? I can't speak for the people that are on the fringes. I can't speak for them. Like I get it. There's always going to be some miscreants that want, what they want. They want anarchy and that sort of thing, or they don't want the government to reach into things. But I think the vast majority of people just want to be kept safe and want things to be equitable, and actually want things to be equal, right? And that's a systems situation. Like that is just a systems violation. Like, how do you not have the right information to do? And I mean, I get it, people make mistakes, and so, but just to shrug it off as just that, it was a mistake. I don't know. That's just rough.
But that was part of the problem. They tried to cover up the fact that it was a mistake. They didn't want
even the mayor. And look, y'all, the mayor's Black, so I'm not going to just sit here and just try to defend her. She denied knowing anything about it, and then it was revealed through a watchdog organization, or I think a third-party evaluator, that she did know, and they were trying to cover it up. I mean, come on, y'all, let's get this together. And then you wonder why people don't trust the government. Ugh.
And then
I feel.
Oh, go ahead.
Or the police, yes.
And I just say that because, honestly, not to say that the situation isn't going to affect her, period, once it happens. But, I mean, if you could have just had the decency, I think it was 12 officers, any of those officers could have made sure that she was at least not nude. You know what I mean? At least not in her most vulnerable state as a lady and as a person. Like, no person wants to be nude, and especially a lady. And all of these men sitting around, I think the fact that the inhumanity that was shown to her by all of those officers is the issue, and is the issue more often than not than when we're talking about police. Like, before we get to the actual actions, it's like you have no humanity, and it goes back to how we vet these people to be in the positions that they're in anyway.
Yeah.
Amen.
My goodness. Well, my prayers are for Anjanette Young. Yes, she has $2.9 million. Now, when things like that, does that get taxed? I'm not trying to be funny.
Good question.
Probably.
Yeah, but then
Or
the lawyers get part of it too. You agree in the beginning that they're going to get a certain percentage, and it's a large percentage. Sometimes it's 30-40% of whatever your winnings are. It could be more, especially if they took the case on without her paying, in the beginning. So and I also want to speak to the fact that it doesn't even bring up the psychological aspects of so many times, like Black women, we feel like we aren't seen. We could be fully dressed, full face of makeup, and an outfit, and then you're like, oh, nobody pays me attention. Especially if you're older and you're single, you're like, nobody cares about me anymore. And then to be naked for 40 minutes plus, and there's 12 men in the room, and you're still not seen, and you're not heard. Like, the psychological ramifications of that is more than $2.9 million.
Yeah.
Like,
and it wasn't just Caucasians in that room either.
Yeah.
There were a couple of men of color. I guess there were no women that could have been participating in this raid. I have so many questions. And my prayer is just with her and her mind. That the Lord would send something that would send peace to her through this situation, because this is awful. And while she has that money, that's definitely not going to take back what happened. So,
and that's not what she went in there to get. She said she didn't want money. She went for them to be fired.
Yeah.
And that wasn't done. And so even now it's like she wasn't heard before.
Yeah.
And then even though she won, she still technically wasn't heard.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to stay tuned and follow this because we also still have the situation in Minnesota where there was a no-knock warrant issued, and so there's still this same stuff going on, just a different day, right? To that end, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back with Heads Up.
2020 gave birth to a lot of endeavors. Here in 2021, everyone has had to get in touch with their inner producer. Our man Garrett Brace is one of those guys you need on your team. We at Headspace with Dr. Mike are clients of his, as he ensures all of our audio files are crisp, clean, and cool. If you have any audio, video, and even lighting needs, hit him up at G Walt Services on Instagram. Remember, G Walt Services, servicing all your audio, video, and lighting needs.
Well, it is Valentine's Day. Actually, that's not till Monday. But it's the weekend of love. Whenever we have that, this is the first weekend where everything, let me tell you something. I'm trying to figure out where to take Shavella for dinner tonight, because all the restaurants are already full, unless we want to do an early lunch, and that's just not possible for us. Nonetheless, one of the things that kind of came to mind was, and it came to some conversations I was having with some friends about, they were talking about their job, and they were talking about just how unhappy they are in their current situations. And one of the questions that I threw out to them was, well, what happened to your love? Like, where's your love? What is it that you love? What is it that you have passion in? And their response to me was, what's love got to do with it? Now, what was funny about that was, initially I went back to, what's love got to do with it? Mother Tina Turner used to sing that song, What's Love Got to Do with It? But then the more I started thinking about that, I reflected on Revelation 2, back when John was addressing the lukewarm churches. And one of the things he said to them was, you need to go back to your first love. You need to go back to that time when you first found Christ, and you were excited about the relationship that you had formed with him, and you were excited about all that he had done in your life, and all these things. And in order for you to really be able to carry out the mission of what you're called to carry out, which is, for Revelation, is to spread the gospel and spread the love of Jesus, you got to go back to your first love in order to be successful. And that really stuck to me, because it reminded me of a time back doing my first job out of college. And I loved it. To be honest with you, I thought that it was going to be like my career. Like, I was going to be a lifer. I was going to do it for 20-something years, 30-something years, because I just saw endless opportunities. And I want to say year 5, I got into it, and I was talking to my best friend, and I just had nothing nice to say about the job. And he said, I need you to go back to your first love. And I said, What do you mean? He said, I need you to go back to when you loved that job, when it was something that you were passionate about. Like you had so much vision and zeal and you were just excited about doing it. Like you would wake up in the morning and you would love doing it even if you weren't getting paid. And to be fair, I was not getting paid that much to do this job, but I didn't even pay any attention to it because I loved it so much. And I thought about that and realized that that was for me the turning point of when I realized, you know what, it was time for me to move on to the next thing, because I no longer had that zeal and that fire to do what it was that I was doing. Now, I want to make sure we're clear on something. I do not believe in, I'm not one of those people that believes in just like, if you were in a job, you liked it, but then one day you wake up, you hate it, you just quit. I don't believe in that. I believe that there is something for some loyalty. I don't even want to call it loyalty, but just I feel like you kind of have to go through all seasons of an experience before you can make a true judgment on whether or not it is something for you. And when I say seasons, for us, we have a year where you go winter, spring, summer, and fall. But I think that in order for you to really get a good sense of it, you kind of got to go through the first year because you're learning it. Then the second year to kind of implement what you learn. And then the third year, I think that's when the third and fourth year is when you can really make a determination of whether or not this is a fit for you. That's just Dr. Mike talking, right? But with that, one of the things I want to encourage you all in is I want you all, especially those of you that seem unsettled in whatever it is you may be doing, you got some ideas that you had along the way and you seem to be a little unsettled now. I want you to think back to your first love. What was it that drew you to that situation? What was it that actually made you decide this is what I want to do? And by the way, this is not just about jobs. This is also about, maybe it's about relationships, right? It's about your personal escapades. Did I say it right? Yeah, your personal endeavors. Let's do that. Maybe it's just about it could be your professional life, whatever it is, maybe a business that you want to do. Go back to your first love. Think back to the day when you first discovered that it was something that you could do. I remember when I first discovered that I could be a public speaker and get paid to do it. Like I could actually make a career out of speaking. And I remember how excited I was about the fact that I could actually spend the rest of my life not necessarily hating my job because I was doing something that I love. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the job that I actually have now that actually pay, my full-time job, I love it. Like it has its moments. Don't get me wrong. It has its moments where it's like, yeah, I don't know about this. But for the most part, I can honestly say that I get to get up every morning and do something that I love, right? Which is teaching people, which is helping them learn something. Sometimes things that they didn't know that they needed to know, helping them be able to do their jobs better, and ultimately being able to help other people pursue their passions and their purposes. But I'm not going to lie to you. That was a journey. That was a process to get there. So with that being said, you may be asking, what's love got to do with it? I believe it has everything to do with it. Now, at some point, we're going to bring on a relationship counselor because we're going to talk about that, because I do also have my feelings about romance and love and that sort of thing. But that's for another day and another time. But for this, as it pertains to just our lives and our lives' journeys, let's think back to our first love. And to that is my heads up.
Follow the Headspace with Dr. Mike show on all social media platforms at Headspace DM. We want to keep you up to date on all of our hot topics and keep the dialogue going even after the show. We also value what's important to you and your community. DM your show ideas to us on Instagram or Facebook. The next time you log on, you may hear Dr. Mike discussing the very topic or issue close to your heart.
All right, y'all. How y'all feeling? Y'all doing good? Y'all have a good good break. Hopefully my heads up made a little more sense. And what's love got to do with it? So before we go, because today is Valentine's Day and we always like to talk about some things with Valentine's. I got a question, and maybe it's just me. Why is there so much vitriol about the mask? Like I don't know how things are for you in Missouri, Crystal, but for us here in Maryland, the numbers have been going down. Maryland actually, I think, has really done a lot of great things. Like we have over 80% of our adults are vaccinated, and I mean, there's a lot that happens here as it pertains to COVID. So I really, to be honest with you, don't have that many complaints about how. I mean, every little here's and there's, but I mean, I think it is what it is. But one of the things that's really kind of striking me is there's a lot of, we got to get the kids out of the mask. We got to get the kids out of the mask. We got to get the kids out of the mask. And what is that about? Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not understanding and seeing what the issue is. Somebody help me out.
Well, I can't help you, sir, because we're in the same boat. I can say this as an adult, I will be thrilled the day we can put those masks in the fire and burn them. Because, it's not the most comfortable. You would prefer to breathe in fresh air,
right?
Constantly.
Yeah.
But if it is helping, which it seems to be,
yeah,
and especially in the schools where the students are in classroom settings, it's closer, proximity to other students, then what is the harm in wearing the mask in public? I don't understand until we get to a point where it's not necessary. Let's just keep going. If the numbers are going down, that's a good thing. Let's make sure they stay that way.
Yeah.
Like, do we want to go back to where we were at the end of November?
No. Like, I got when people were upset about the shutdowns, and I think we had gotten to a point now where we've seen that the shutdowns weren't as effective as we had hoped, right? They really didn't. I think preliminary studies are showing that the shutdowns they didn't do what we want.
They said that it only saved what was it? It was something like 2%.
Right.
But I don't care. 2%. I don't care. That's lives.
Yeah.
That were saved.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, listen, people are still dying from the COVID. I mean, they still are dying, and they really are. I mean, as long as people are still, and this is not like what was it? What was the mosquito thing? The thing with the Zika or something?
Zika, like that? Yeah.
There was Zika, but then there was something that was happening here in Maryland. There was a few years back that people were getting it from the mosquitoes. I don't know, but it's not even at that point yet. It's
not the mosquito.
What you say, Christopher? What'd you say, Chris?
No.
West Nile. That's what it was. West Nile. The West Nile virus.
My internet connection is bad, is what I said.
Oh, got it. The West Nile virus. And so I'm just fascinated because, and then I've been trying to search for, do we have any studies yet that are showing that the kids are really like their performance is not where it needs to be, that their health has gone down because of it. And it's just inconclusive. Like, there's nothing that says, to be honest with you, there's nothing that says either way, right? And so my opinion is, if it's a small chance that it's helping, then let's just go ahead and keep it. Let's keep what we're doing and keep it going. I know for our son's going to be doing it, but the part I'm worried about now is when people decide that they're going to do it. Because I remember being in Ohio a few weeks ago, and people were giving me the side eye because I was walking around with my mask on. So, knowing what we know about little kids, is this going to be more a situation to bully folk? I think that everybody having to wear a mask kind of actually alleviates that because everybody has it. My personal thought is that we as adults are projecting things onto our kids like we typically do.
Well, my thing is, I don't have any children, so but from my perspective, it is that the children are the ones who aren't vaccinated, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so
as much as adults, yeah.
Yeah, so if they're the one, they're not even allowed to get. How old is it that you have to be to get it?
What is it? 5 years old and above. Because I know my son has it. He has both his shots, and he's 10. So yeah, I think it's anybody 5 and up
or 6 and up, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So then there's that issue too. What about the children who aren't vaccinated? Their parents chose not to get them vaccinated. It's more of a safety precaution for them because we all know that children, they're not going to wear it the whole time. They're going to take it off, but then just even before COVID with the flu and this, the normal common cold, the children are the ones that spread it more.
Listen, Listen, let me tell you something. Those things that Mike would bring in this house, those things. Look, and Christy, just you wait. Just you wait. I know Chris knows what I'm talking about. Look, they come home with something, then it hits you, and you up under the bed. Like you just it's
they don't bounce back.
And they sit there like, what's up? I'm hungry. This and you like, they are just petri dishes. Oh my goodness, they really are. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, I just, I don't know. I just and then I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the demographic of the folk that are complaining about it. I'm just like, is it that you don't want them wearing it, or is it that you just don't like people telling you what to do? And
I think it's the latter.
And I think I agree with that. It's like you just don't want people telling you what to do. It could be anything. Because I mean, look, how many times have you been on a plane and you saw, and this is not trying to be stereotypical, but the Asian folk used to wear their masks faithfully even before we had the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
If you say the COVID one more time.
I was thinking that too. I didn't want to say it, but I was like, how old is Mike? Okay.
The COVID.
I said, I was sworn we went to school together, but
the COVID. And Kevin, thank you for pointing that out. The shutdowns affected people's mental health too, more depression, anxiety. Absolutely. Like I don't think any of us are arguing that it didn't have its impact. And I think that we're going to have to start figuring out the long game. I know for me, in my role in learning and development and human resources, we're really starting to think about what the long-term implications are going to be, because we just went through we're going through trauma. Like we're all going through, this is not even secondary trauma. This is, we all are going through this traumatic experience. So Chris, I like your back.
So what got a man?
I had to change locations, and when you move around here, you
I
gotta have a
understand.
mask.
We appreciate
you was proving a point. That's what it was.
Anyway, let's figure out what we're going to do about this with the thing, and just y'all, I need y'all to chill out a little bit. But y'all, we talk about Valentine's Day, and there's just love is in the air, but there's a little bit of controversy with the love. First of all, there's a well-renowned pastor in LA, Noel Jones. Some of you may have seen him on Preachers of LA a few years ago, and one of the biggest sources of contention was that he was with his longtime girlfriend at the time. I mean, he was with her, I want to say he was with her for over 10 years, or maybe not 10 years.
It's been, at this point, it's been almost 30.
Yeah. So they were decades together. And at the time, it was like really controversial. Like, why aren't you trying to marry her? And she was kind of playing it off as, if it happens, it happens, and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? What did he do? He did
at 72 years old.
Wait a minute. Pastor Jones is 72 years old?
Google it.
Oh.
Oh, every day of it. Every single day.
Say, I don't know. So tell me what he did at 72.
Okay. So let's because everybody doesn't know what's going on. So Pastor Noel Jones, Noel Jones, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he proposed to his long-term girlfriend Loretta after almost 30 years. And he did it at church on her birthday. And it was the lamest, most chauvinistic, any adjective you could use to express how horrible this proposal was, in my opinion, because this is what we're giving.
Mine too.
Yes, it was boo-boo. I want to say something else. It was horrible. First of all, he pulled the ring. Before he pulled the ring out of a Cracker Jack box, and I'm not even that to me. Literally, he pulled it out of. I mean, it was a little joke. Okay, fine.
It's because Chris is clutching his pearls right now.
Listen. I can get past the Cracker Jack box. Whatever. It was, the whole lead up to it was about how, oh yeah, he was like, I'm going to take off my, what was it? I'm going to take off my freedom coat and put on my straitjacket.
Yeah, he did say that. He did.
His perspective of marriage was horrible.
Yeah.
First of all, number A, and yes, I did say number A. Number A, I would not be there for 30 years. You the best you're gonna get is 3 years out of me without a proposal, if that's my desire. Okay. That's number A. Number B. I didn't forget my number B. I was so disturbed by number A. I just you're not gonna do that. And then the way your perspective of the marriage and proposing to me that way, and you said yes.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
You have to go. You have to go and look at the proposal. I mean, it was just.
I want to now.
Please.
It was.
Go ahead, Crystal.
I was like, it was the worst. The absolute worst. First of all, you ain't gonna use up all my pretty years. Okay. I ain't talking to you for no 30 years. I said my dating game is not a long game. Okay. It's gonna be real short. I'm gonna cut you off, sir. 30 years? And then you have the audacity. He not once did he say, thank you for sticking in there with me. I love you, baby. We'd have been through some ups and downs. Nothing. Every single thing about the proposal was about him and how he was getting older and he needed somebody to take care of him.
Facts. I mean, he did mention that she had stuck by him, but and he did say, people question, why she would be with an older man. He alluded to that a little bit.
How much older is he to her? Like,
I want to say, I think she's in her late 50s, early 60s.
And he's 72.
He's 72.
And my mother going to ask this question. Was he getting the cookies? Ooh.
Well, now I'm not going to go there. They're there.
I'm about to say, can he still get the cookies at 72?
Mama Dor.
Crystal, we need a break. Crystal, we need a break.
Michael, stop acting like your mother embarrassed you. That was a great question, Mama Dor.
Let's go ahead and break real quick. We need a
Our world is filled with polarizing topics that land most people on one side or the other. The Headspace with Dr. Mike team isn't afraid to take them on. Monthly, we will invite people on both sides of some of the most controversial topics, from the serious to the silly, to debate their positions. We look forward to charged discussions that will inform and entertain. DM your head-to-head show ideas to us on Instagram or Facebook at Headspace DM.
Leave it up, period.
So, first of all, before we continue, I want to know, do y'all know how to behave? Are y'all going to behave?
I'm going to be good.
I'm about to put my mom in timeout because she going to write back pills. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mama Dorsey. Mama Dorsey.
Oh, my goodness. Listen.
Can we get her on the show?
Right.
I was going to say something else, but I'm on my best behavior.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a part of the conversation that they were having during Preachers of LA. Like, the pastor that was like counseling them was like, are y'all trying to keep the relationship holy? So, I mean, I don't know. 30 years, that's listen. Well, you know what? Praise God. They are. I mean, do we have a date set yet, or are we gonna have to wait another 10 years for that to happen? I didn't know he was 72 years old. He don't preach like he's 72 years old. I give him that.
The man is anointed.
Yeah, he got a gift, and maybe that's The sad thing about it is, knowing what I know, having been a preacher for as long as I've been a preacher, you see some things, and that is not uncommon. The thing about it is, it's not uncommon. Like, it's actually pretty commonplace.
What's not uncommon? The length of the relationship, or
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the relationships that are going on while they're in the middle of other relationships.
Ooh. Well, my sister who's watching the show, she sent me a text and said apparently they're already married. That's the text she sent. They were married in secret. That's what she sent the text.
I believe that because he don't like everybody to be all in his business.
Man, that does surprise me. I really thought that after waiting 30 years, she was going to have a grandiose, she's your queen to be type of marriage.
I don't know, but I mean, she don't
accepted
look
a
like.
ring from a Cracker Jack box.
Well,
Listen, no, but she don't look like she's struggling. I'm sure that ugly hat that she had on that day was worth.
That hat. She chose that for her birthday. Okay, can we move on? Let's move on to the next thing.
Her choices are off. Okay,
yeah, clearly
way off.
From the rooter to the tutor.
It was a lot going on, y'all. So I guess I mean, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I remember one of the best pieces of advice that I was given before I got married was this: your relationship doesn't make sense to everybody, and their relationships aren't going to make sense to you. And you figure out how to do what you do. And if you start comparing notes with other married people, you're going to find that things are going to be a little weird. And it is funny because there are things that even Chevelle and I do that it's like I could tell other married couples, like, yeah, that wouldn't work for us. And then there are things they'll tell us, we're like, yeah, that wouldn't work for us, but that works for us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I wish them all the best.
Well, Mike, speaking of things working and not working, are we going to talk about the Kiara Kiki shared revelation?
Oh boy, yeah. So talk to the people about what Kiara shared. For those who don't know, Kiara shared is a part of the legendary Clark Moss family. I personally think she's one of the better singers of them. She definitely knows how to scream in a good way. She just recently got married, and what is going on with her? What did she do?
Okay, so she did an interview, and the topic of her marriage came up because she's been married for like a year and a half now.
Okay.
And she told the interviewer that female friends, female relatives are not allowed to stay the night at her house when they come into town. She said
her husband's female friends,
any female family or friends are not allowed to spend the night at their home. She says she will pay for a hotel room for them, but she will not have women around her husband tempting her husband.
I mean, is there wait, pause. So like if her cousin,
yeah,
there's Detroit, it snows a lot.
Okay.
So her cousin can't get out. She's not allowed to spend the night.
Is the cousin a male or a female?
Female.
Not allowed.
Oh.
Not allowed. No.
Not allowed. Not happening.
Violation.
It's a violation in her home. She said she will get them a hotel room. They will not be staying in her home. And so that is the situation that it caused a lot of conversation about a lot of things. And so here's my opinion. I believe that a person's going to do what they're going to do, whether you allow certain things in your home or not. If the person's going to cheat, they're going to cheat. You can bring the person in a home, not bring the person in a home. Whatever the case may be, if that is what they want to do, if that's a desire, that's what they're going to do. I'm not sitting up making arrangements for hotel. If you're my friend or family and there's room in my home, I'm going to invite you to my home. But the thing is, it's the insecurity for me.
It definitely is that. He must have violated in some major way.
I'm not going to say he did or didn't. I'm just saying that I'm not living in that kind of distrust in my life. I can't. Rob knows good and well. He has female friends, people we call sisters that he talks to on the phone. I don't need to be all in the conversation. And I mean, he doesn't hide anything. I mean, he could be in the same room, next room, whatever. But I don't need to know why she calling. No, I can't live like that. So if you ultimately you're gonna make a decision. And if that decision is to cheat, then that's the decision, and I'll make my decision. But I'm not going back and forth and wondering who is this, why you doing that, who's that. No, I ain't got the energy.
A lot of work. That's what Shirella says. Shirella says this is a lot of work to have to do all that.
It's too much.
That I got to do all that. What you think, Crystal?
I feel like if you can take him from me that easily, he's yours. You can have him. Like if we'd have. Seriously though, if you're in a relationship, a serious relationship, you're married. That's your husband. So that means y'all probably dated, and then y'all been together for how long have they been married? Does anybody know?
Well, they got married over the pandemic.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that if you could just walk in, spend one night, and you done snatched him from me, girl, go ahead. You can have him. Because it wasn't that serious in the beginning. I mean, like, he clearly doesn't respect you. You know, he's in your own house. That's gonna happen just right there. And how hard are you sleeping? And what are these? You know what I'm saying?
Crystal has all kinds of questions.
How many friends do you have?
What you thinking, Chris?
I'm just thinking, like, I guess I shouldn't have said what I said about he must have violated, because maybe he didn't, and maybe it is the insecurities that Christy is speaking about. I just tend to believe that people usually have insecurities. People have insecurities regardless, but then if you feed those insecurities, it gets even worse. So that was an assumption on my part, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. But like you said, that's not going to stop him from doing whatever it is that you're trying to stop him from doing by having people, not stay in your home, and especially for the people you call friends and family. Like, I have questions like, Crystal, like, who are these people? Like, who? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be inviting anybody to my home who I thought would even try to take advantage of an opportunity like that. And if I had a significant other who I was worried about stepping across the line like that, why are we doing this at all? Like, you can just go do that. You don't have to worry about what I'm doing.
I guess I got several questions. First of all, the chat is lighting up. My mother, she doesn't trust her husband. If it quacks, it's a duck. Wow. Yikes. Daisy Brown is agreeing with what y'all said. My mom says no faith in their covenant. So, no. I mean, there's a whole dialogue going on in the chat. So we appreciate y'all.
Well, y'all remember in Soul Food, Faith violated.
I was just saying, I was like, this sounds like this Soul Food and in this any Tyler Perry movie.
Right. Oh, see. But yeah, so the dialogue, surrounding this, people were posting, Faith, a picture of Faith, and when what was the sister's name? Oh, it's not coming to me. But anyway, she, when she had relations with her husband in their home, and she was staying there. But Faith was flaky in the first part, so
she was already flaky. And they always plays those roles, by the way. Like, every time I see him, I'm just like, yo, whose wife are you cheating on today? Because he always just plays those roles real well. But that's another conversation. Yeah.
But then, are none of your friends and family and relationships? Is everybody single?
Well, that's the other thing. Like, are you worried that these people are going to come in? And, like, I mean, who is it that you're not trusting? Are you not trusting your... So, I mean, what is her comment? Is this a preemptive strike, or has something happened to lend itself to this?
No, it's just something that they
start the relationship off right.
Yeah, they just made a decision that she did. This is what she's going to do in these cases, and hey, if that works for them, then so be it. But since we're on a podcast radio show having conversation about it, I'm going to give my opinion.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely different.
They live in. Like, is it hot 24/7? Like, is everybody walking around in
They live in Detroit.
They live in Detroit. They're in Detroit, Michigan. Okay,
I'm sorry. The attire that you wear in Detroit, Michigan is not that tempting. Okay? Like,
yeah, it's definitely a whole lot more to that story that they're not going to share, because where there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh,
well.
On that note, let's take a break.
Right.
So we can cool off.
Focused on photo, versed in video, For Any Media brings visions to life, from headshots to family shoots, casual candids to structured scenes. Our team can provide whatever you need. In Baltimore, you may have seen us at local events such as the Poly City Tailgate or the Randallstown Romp. You can find us on all social media platforms at the number 4 Any Media. For any media, for anything. Contact us so we can create.
Well, needless to say, we're gonna have to stay. I'm curious as to what precipitated this, and we're gonna see how that's gonna work. I'm gonna ask, like, Dr. Phil, how's that working for you? I would like to find out. what's really going on there. Wow, I guess for me, and I'll close this with this thought. If we're starting off with what appears to be a lack of trust, then it doesn't really give us much runway to take off on. You know what I mean? So I think I'm just concerned about that. But if we're just really just trying to be cautious, and I mean, there's some folk that are scandalous these days, so it may not even be about the husband. It could be about the women. I don't know. There's a spirit of a whole lot going on, as someone I know would say. So we're gonna just wish them all the best. Black History Month, y'all. Black History Month. We're definitely in the throes of it. So are any of y'all into the Oscars or anything like that? Like, are y'all into the the award season is starting to show up? Are y'all big into it? Yay, no, maybe so.
Not really.
Well, that's
I like hearing about it at the end.
After the fact, right?
Yeah. I think the Oscars probably are the most boring of all of them, in my opinion. But I'm excited because Denzel Washington,
yes,
he is nominated for his 10th, which I didn't realize he was in a movie, in a Macbeth movie at that. So I'm kind of looking for that, and he has the most nominations of any Black actor. So congratulations, Denzel. We definitely appreciate. I'm happy to hear that. Listen, I am a huge Denzel fan. Being in the theater space myself, and just the versatility of him. I think what I really appreciate about Denzel, though, is it's not even just his performances, but it's also the fact that he's trying to bring other people. He is trying to help other people grow. Like, I think about setting, him, the story of him setting up Michael B. Jordan with that. Has anybody seen that movie? The one with him in that he died.
The Diary of the Son. I didn't see it. Rob wants to see it.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I do appreciate, that was something, when you follow the story of that, it was actually something that was shown to him for him to do. And he said, no, I want to set somebody else up to do it. And so he kind of, can you imagine that? Like, Denzel calls you up and say, hey, there's a part I want you to play. It was actually for me, but I want you to do it. Like, that's pretty dope.
Beautiful.
That's dope, and especially when he has a son who, just rightfully so, he could have thought about him first. So I think that's extra special.
And let's talk about his son. His son is phenomenal. Like,
it's scary. It's
really
scary how much they sound alike. Obviously that's his son, but it's like, wait a minute. The same thing with Ice Cube and his son.
Yes.
That's the O'Sheas are crazy. That's crazy with the O'Sheas.
Yeah. but my thing about Denzel, even beyond his skill, like, he's just a skilled actor, seasoned, obviously, actor. It's his heart, it's his spirit. He is just setting the foundation. He has set the foundation and is opening up doors for so many people, and that's truly his passion. And I think that's what, as you develop in your craft and you become seasoned, that's your job then, not to take every role, step behind the camera, do other things so that you can open up doors for others. And he is taking that role and done. He's just great. He's phenomenal beyond the acting skills.
I agree with all that. Kevin from Denver said Denzel is one of my favorite actors. He's amazing. And he asked, have I seen John Q? Absolutely, several times. Several times. So, and then watching it, having a son is a whole different ball game. Like, I watched it, I was like, wow, that's something. But then you have a son and you're like, I don't know too many dads that wouldn't have tried to figure out how they can do what they need to do to make sure their son gets to survive. So
that's our number one job, is to protect them. And if we can't do that, then we're not really doing our jobs at all. And so whatever necessary steps or measures that could be taken, I think, like you said, Michael, I think all of the dads out here can feel that. I would say if Denzel's in the movie, I'm going to see it. I don't care what it is. When it comes out, what it's about, I'm going. So
no, I'm with you on that. I definitely I agree. I think I always comment that I may not like the movie, but his performance does, even when he was in Preacher's Wife, he made one of the best one of the best angels, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, congratulations, Father Denzel. I mean, they have a lot of options there. There's a lot of heavy hitters because I think he's competing up against Will Smith for his role in King Richard.
Ooh.
And that was
now I might have to watch the Oscars. When is it coming on, Mike? Next Sunday?
I don't know if it's next Sunday.
Okay. I think it's in March. I think it's in March this year.
But tomorrow's the Super Bowl.
Tomorrow is the Super Bowl. Yeah, listen to you, not sounding bitter at all. That was great.
It's the halftime show for us, you know.
Exactly. I wanted the halftime show and the commercials. I'm excited about the commercials.
I am excited about the halftime show and the commercials. I think everybody, the
commercials are always great.
All the Mary J memes. Oh my god. Mary J.
I wish y'all had told me I'd have put my TV on the stand and did my little Mary J dance, the little kick out. Like,
oh, you go ahead.
You got
everybody need to go ahead and stock up on their ibuprofen now. Make sure you time it out.
In the Bengay.
And icy hot.
A lot of us 30 and 40, a lot of us 30 and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds are gonna be we gonna be stretching our limbs.
I'm gonna make sure I do my stretches beforehand. I'm gonna be ready because I'm gonna get my dance on. Do you hear me?
I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. And for the record, everybody, the Oscars are March 27th. So we have a whole other month. So hopefully, anyway, with that being said, who y'all got for the Super Bowl? Who y'all got? Who you got, Crystal?
I just told you, I'm about the commercials. I don't care about the teams. Okay.
Who you got,
for
Chris?
real, I'm going with San Francisco.
They not playing though.
They certainly not gonna win.
It's some California team.
The Rams. The Rams.
The Rams. Yes, the Rams.
Chris, what you say, Chris? You said, well, they're not going to win.
They're not going to win. I'm a bet against you, Crystal.
California got too many teams.
Look, I'm putting some money on that bet.
Yeah. Like, whatever I got, let me scrape up everything I got to bet against them.
Yeah, I'm going to That's almost a guaranteed win. Who you got, Chris?
I'm gonna take the LA team too. I'm gonna go with Crystal and take the LA team. The Rams though. I'm gonna take that too.
Who you got, Christy?
I'm gonna go for the Bengals. I'm gonna keep it, in our division. If we can't have it, let's have the Bengals do it. And they're underdog, I'm pretty sure. So I'm always rooting for the underdog.
I'm with you. I want to see the Bengals do it. I want to see the Bengals do it. What I do appreciate now that we're not playing them now, we're not their opponent. Watching I love the youthfulness of their team. They actually remind me of what we were hoping we were getting when Lamar kind of took the helm as the quarterback. Just the youthfulness of the team, and they're a family, and they really are trying to work together. So I've been admiring that. And I kind of like Joe. I'm not going to like him, after the Super Bowl. And we have to play them 2 times next season. But for right now, I'm rooting for the Bengals. Plus, that was home for me for 13 years of my life. So I'm going to go ahead and shout one quick "Who Dey," and that's all you're going to get from me. Well, everybody, let's go ahead and just thank y'all for just tuning in today. Thank you, team, as always, for just being the rock stars that you are. Thank you all for hanging out with us. I wish you all many of God's blessings and his peace that only he can provide in the midst of everything, both now and forever. Until next week, peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Headspace with Dr. Mike. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to follow us on social media at Headspace DM to continue the dialogue with other Headspacers regarding today's show. Everyone is filling their headspace with something. The question is, what are you filling yours with? Tune in next week.